When what you've been trying isn't working or doesn't seem to be working, how do you know when to stay or when to go, when to give up or when to keep trying or get up and try again? Hi, I'm Angel, ZGALA. Welcome to Putting on a Better Face, where I talk about what's on my mind while I try to make myself a little more presentable in the face area. You might discover I'm silly, I'm off the cuff, and today what I'm thinking about is that paradox between learning from failure and trying again, and learning from failure and giving up. And like in both cases, we're learning from failure, right? But I think ultimately no one else, like no one, pardon me while I do weird things with these tweezers, no one but us can know if we should try again or we should give up. And ultimately, there's probably not a right or wrong to life. It's just a matter of like, how does that story work for you in your life story? I like to think about things and sleep on them sometimes if it's like a big decision and I'm not sure. Sometimes that helps me, like pretend. And here's how I do that. I pretend that I made the big decision in whatever way that I'm considering making it. And then I sleep on it. And then when I wake up, I try to wake up in the state as if I had made, so like I pretend like I made the decision without actually committing to it. And then I go to sleep, and when I wake up, I try to bring my awareness to the fact that I made that decision and see how it feels in my body. Like I did this with a purchase one time, and I actually backed out of the purchase, and I think it was the right thing to do. Now, again, was the right thing to do or wrong thing to do? It's all just a matter of my own story, right? But in that case, I had not waited to sign my name on a contract. It was a timeshare, high pressure sales thing, which you may or may not have experienced. They're easy to get trapped by. But anyway, one got me. I've been through a lot of them and not got trapped. And when I woke up in the morning, I had that bad realization, that feeling of like, oh, I should not. That was a bad decision. So I did manage to get out of it. In case you didn't know, there's a 3-day law in most places, at least here in the United States, for real estate contracts. And even though it was a pain in the butt for paperwork and didn't make people happy, it was reversible or, nullifiable sort of. So marriages, real estate contracts, similar. Oh, I got stuff on me. I was thinking, well, I've been thinking about a lot of things, haven't I? As usual. Yeah, I was thinking about my urges to give up on certain things and how I dance back and forth between saying, like, I'll surrender to that idea of quitting. And then often what happens is that I get a new surge of inspiration and I remember why I set that goal in the first place or why I wanted to do it. And in the giving up of, like, the loosening up and the giving up of my tight parameters, what it needs to be, a lot of times I'll find new freedom and then new forward momentum in it. And then I'll often clutch onto those, cling onto those, get all trapped again. Seems to be something of a repeating pattern. I'm still trying to sort it all out. How about you? You getting things sorted out in your life? I have sorted out so far that it's a paradox, that we don't know a lot more than we know, and that also we know more than we know, which is complicated to say, but as in, like, our bodies are comprised of a lot of little entities that have a lot of knowledge to them, and I think a lot of times we are misinterpreting or simplifying the data, heavens, all sorts of things going on when you get up close. And that's sort of related to what I'm saying, is like there's different levels you can focus, right? And the way that we operate, we tend to really make a lot of leaps, make a lot of guesses, make a lot of assumptions based on labels and past stories and all sorts of things. It's kind of whack, really, especially these days, I think. And for that reason, so it's important to evaluate, and if you can, sort of separate from what the programming of everyone else is voting for, or telling you is right and wrong, and really hone in on what feels right and wrong to you. I think this is where meditation comes in. I like moving meditations like walking or Tai Chi or dancing, but also stillness is very helpful in listening into your own body, to your own spirit, to your own being, and running those experiments with, like, if I made this change, how does it feel in my body? Or if I made this other change, how does that feel? And it can be tricky because the unknown feels scary sometimes, even if it's like there's a subtle difference, right, between excitement and scariness. And if you haven't been practicing doing things that excite you, you could get overwhelmed with a feeling that feels like fear or anxiety, something like that. Which is the reason I think it's really important to practice doing things that kind of scare you or that are uncomfortable. Ideally in safe scenarios where the stakes aren't that high at first, so that when the stakes are higher, you will be well practiced at it, and you won't miss out on big opportunities in your life because you're afraid to take the leap into the unknown. And that is what's required to grow, usually. Of course, there's exceptions to every rule. Yes, I'm rambling. I'd love to know what you think of any of that. I was going to try to start telling you a joke or something, and I just remembered that. I have been studying up on how to get better on this channel again. You might be able to tell I haven't really implemented any of the things I've been studying on. I have it's again that paradox. I have some tension between wanting to up-level and wanting to stay authentic. And part of that tension is that up-leveling certainly requires more editing and more equipment and probably more people, more time. And that's sort of counter to what I was trying to build on this channel in some ways, which is authenticity and a modeling of courageousness, not in that production way, like in the real human way, you know, because it's okay to be a flawed human, and not just okay, it's freaking amazing. It's an amazing, amazing thing to be alive, and all like this idea of perfection, better, worse, those are human constructs, I think. Now, they're relevant to our lives, and I do think it's important to, to focus on what's useful in your day-to-day life. And so it's not necessarily useful to think there's no good or bad, there's no right or wrong. But I think it is important to put it in context and recognize that that is a human construct, and that it's sort of ever changing in a lot of ways, and that we participate in that changing, that it's a process, it's a verb, not a noun, right or wrong, just right. It's like a dynamic interplay of everything, including you and me. So rather than feeling victimized by whatever is going on, when we can recognize that we are part of this fabric, we can raise our state from that victim mentality of things are happening to me and why me and how can I get out of this, instead to more of a, you can go like by me, which is a little bit closer to how can I get out of this, which is a good step. And then there is through me, where you're a conduit for the universe. I spend a lot of time there. And ultimately, though, I think if you can bring yourself to what I often think of as the highest state in this realm, at least, is that idea of as me. You're being one with the universe. We are all, it's not like you're creating the future with your thoughts and feelings and actions, and it's not like you're not. It's both, right? We're both irrelevant and very relevant. That's what I think, and I'd love to know what you think. I think this helps, even if no one else thinks so. It helps me feel like I tried, as a friend of mine would say, and it looks better to me when I look at it. Although I do like to remind myself and you that we're all beautiful, regardless of how much makeup we do or don't put on. Well, it's, you know, I say that and then I want to hesitate. That beauty has a lot more to do with that inner state that I'm talking about. And when you feel at one and like you know that you belong to this universe in that as me kind of state, then it's easy to celebrate yourself and want to decorate yourself or treat yourself well and in a loving way, because you're worth it. You're worthy. This whole universe is. It doesn't mean to do that at the expense of someone or something else. And that is, of course, where it gets tricky, isn't it? So I'm going to wrap it up there because I don't have an answer to everything. In fact, the more answers I find, the more questions I wind up with. That's about that. So, should you stay or should you go? Nobody can tell you but you, is the punchline to that story. And whatever you choose is probably not going to be the last choice you have to make. It probably doesn't even matter. It's probably just more important that you get good with whatever choice you make and go all in. That's what I think. I mean, of course, sometimes it matters if you stay or if you go. I'm not trying to say it never matters. And also, I'm also saying both. It doesn't matter and it does matter. It matters more what you think of yourself and what you do after you choose to stay or go and how you do it. That's what I think about that. I'd love to know what you think about any of that. Let's pick a pair of glasses here. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for letting me be me, and thanks for being you. Let's try these other ones. What do you think? These ones are dirty. I know I'm looking a lot like an old lady, but that's all right. That's what happens if you're lucky, they say, right? Feeling better than I've been feeling for a while, and I'm grateful for that. And I'd like to remind you to give me a thumbs up and or subscribe to the channel and or leave me a comment. Check out the description for links to things and stuff. And mostly stay curious, stay courageous, stay fit if you can, stay free if you can. Ciao for now.